Alrighty guys, as they bring us into the Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. So this is going to be a guide video for season 9. So last season we ended off like in the top 500 or somewhere around there, which is not bad at all, right? So we're gonna go ahead and hop it quickly into this video. Hopefully you guys can get where you need to be. We're going to have timestamps in the description as always. So that being said, let's go into my top 5 teams for this season. Alright, so the first team that I want to go ahead and talk about is Androids. This is actually the team that I used last season that I already have pre-built right here, so I figured why not go ahead and show it off again. This is the setup that I primarily use, and obviously for this season it's a little bit different. As you can see right here, only 4 of my members are lying in Z tier right now, right? The only 4 of them are in Z tier. If we go back into S tier, that's where the rest of my characters do lie in, the rest of the 4, so I have all 8. So half in Z tier, half in S tier. Not terrible, right? But like I always say, I do not mind dipping into S tier, especially if I feel more confident that I'm going to get into the top 6K, right? I think if you're going to build a team purely for Z tier, just all Z tier units, then probably that's telling me that you want to get really high up on the leaderboard. That's not exactly what I try to aim for. I try to aim just to be able to get through this game mode comfortably, easily, just so I can secure my top 6K, right? At the very least. And you can see right here on the right hand side of the screen, I do have the rank 162 player right here, and he is using androids as well. You can see that that's what he's done, and in a way, right? He went and opted for more Z tier characters. He does have that, I think it's Android 14 or 15? It's Android 15, right? Android 15, I don't think he has a good kit. His sparking variant or his EX variant, I don't think that red. Android 13 is that great, and you know, but everyone else is pretty good here, right? The ToP 17, 18, the red 18 is definitely like the bread and butter, and then the Android 16 is always amazing as well. I don't think this guy is going to last too long at this rank because I think his units are going to die, but I could be wrong, right? I definitely could be wrong. For the most part, I stick to this setup right here when I do run androids, and if I do run them this season, this is probably what I'm going to be using right here. So if you want to copy my setup, if you want to copy this guy's setup, feel free to do so. Alright, for the next team that I want to go ahead and talk about for my number 2 pick is going to be the Minions, the Pull Force, the Frieza Saga team, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely love this team. This is the setup that I personally would go ahead and use, and I actually might just use these guys just to go ahead and show you guys that this team is capable of top 6K, as long as you do have them at 14 stars, right? You can see all of these units that I have on screen are 14 stars, but this is a free-to-play team, right? So when it comes to a free-to-play unit, like a grindable unit, I do like to get them up to max potential, which would be 14 stars, which each of these guys do qualify, and this is what I would use right here. And so on the right-hand side, again, I have another example from the leaderboard of someone else using the Minions as well, and, you know, they have pretty much the same thing, except they have the Zenkai Krillin. And honestly, that's still free to play, right? That's still a free to play unit. Personally, I think Ultra Vegeta is a little bit better just because he can generate blue cards fairly quickly. He gets like a 50% charge to blue cards and stuff like that. So that's pretty good, right? So you can go ahead and copy either setup right here, and you can see one of the main selling points of this team is that every single one of these units are in Z tier. You can see that I have it filtered by Z tier, which is not bad at all, especially considering that, like I said, I don't know how many times I've said it, but this is a free-to-play team. This is a very viable option for you guys. This is better than Legends Road. Like Legends Road, if you want to go ahead and struggle a little bit, I think you can still use Legends Road, but for the most part, this is definitely better, for sure. Alright, for my number 3 pick, it is going to have to be hybrids, purely because they have a lot of good units in the higher tiers, right? So you can see this is the setup that I basically built right here. It's not the best, right? But I'll go ahead and talk about some of my favorite units on this team right here. Obviously, Goten being number 1. He's basically your support, right? He buffs the left diagonal and the right diagonal, which would be the Ultimate Gohan and the EX Gohan, in my case and scenario, right? And then he also gets a guaranteed blue card on turn 2, which is amazing. And then this Gohan, obviously this one can heal and stuff like that. He restores health by 10% once he does transform, and healing is something very, very crucial. And speaking of healing, this guy also does it as well. He heals the entire team by only 1%, which is a very small amount. But he's also a revival unit, right? He's also a revival unit, so you have to keep that in mind, that if you have him at high stars, which I suspect some of you guys might have him at high stars, right? Because he was the 3rd anniversary banner. I know a lot of you guys dumped CC into that. This might be a little bit more of a scary, like, premium team to use, but definitely it's going to get you a lot of points, right? And so you can see right here, most of these units are in Z tier, But I would say don't be afraid to dip into S tier here. Do not be afraid to dip into S tier and even bring in this guy right here, because this guy is actually really good, right? This teen Gohan who just recently got his Zenkai, he absorbs all the attacks for the first turn, right? On the first turn, he's going to be taking everything, right? Everything. And so he could be your designated tank and stuff like that, but you just got to make sure you're supporting him correctly. And then obviously, once again, on the right-hand side of the screen, I do have the rank 131 player using hybrids as well. So he has Princess Trunks. I personally do not think Princess Trunks is that great, other than his Z ability, but this guy, he has him at 14 stars, right? So obviously he's going to want to use him. He has a lot of other good hybrids on there too. I only have Goten on here because I'm close to getting him to Zenkai, but if you ask me, I do think this guy is the better purple in ToP, right? Specifically for ToP, I do think this guy is the better unit. And so if you guys have him, you know, I definitely feel like he's more free-to-play friendly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that he is in the USTR shop and stuff like that, right? So you do have a lot of options here. A lot of good units to choose from in Z tier and a couple good units in S tier as well. So definitely, you know, if you have a stacked hybrids team, it's basically a no-brainer at this point, right? Alright, for the next team that I want to go ahead and show is definitely gonna have to be these guys right here. There's the Sagas from the movies team, and this is how I would basically set them up, or how I would probably build them, right? And I would actually go ahead and do this right here. I think this is pretty good, right? And that's pretty good right there. But this is how I would set these guys up, right? I think that Sagas from the movies is going to definitely be one of the better teams in ToP, just because of the Bojacks. I'm going to be real honest with you guys. As long as you have both of the Bojacks at a decent amount of stars, you're pretty much good to go. Both of them get a guaranteed blue card on the second turn, which is absolutely huge. Coupled with the yellow Gohan. If you guys have that yellow Gohan at a high amount of stars, the transforming Super Saiyan 2 Gohan for the original Bojack Gohan, then you know you pretty much already have a really deadly team. So this is how I would set it up. Metal Cooler is phenomenal. Goku is extremely good, especially if you see a lot of hybrids teams up on the board and stuff like that. And you can basically just have a bunch of filler units as the rest. You have a lot of options here. And once again, on the right hand side of the screen, I will have another player, the rank 2 player actually. He has his own movie Sagas team set up. So like I said, as long as you have those Bojacks, you're pretty much good to go. He also notably has that yellow transforming Gohan on his bench, and the revival Gohan, just in case he needs to start healing people up. And again, he's a revival unit. He's going to be really good, especially in the long run, in the long scheme of things, right? Alright, for the next team, and I think this is going to be coming as no surprise, is going to have to be Regeneration, dude. Regeneration is just too good. Obviously, on the right-hand side of the screen, we have the rank 1 player with his own Regeneration team right here. So let's quickly go over his. The main focus of this team is definitely going to be Super Baby 2. And as you can see right here, Super Baby 2 is actually an S tier. Right, he's in S tier, he's not even in Z tier, and this guy's rank 1, so he's skimping out on a little bit of points by not bringing a full Z tier squad, and he's still having a massive amount of success, right? He actually has a couple S tier units in here, right? He has the Super Baby 2 and he has the Fat Boo, both of which are healers. Personally, for me, I like to go ahead and keep them both in at the same time because I like to keep the heals going for the full team, right? When you're using the setup that I am using right here, Baby's going to be healing Kid Boo and Boo tanks, while Fat Boo is going to be healing my free-to-play Piccolo and my Buhan. So Buhan's another really good character, right? Because he's able to go ahead and nullify that first attack because he does have that Bubble Shield unique ability. And then Kid Boo, he's also able to heal himself while he uses a card. Like if he's using a strike card, which is primarily what he's going to be using in the first place, then he's going to heal off of it, right? And obviously, if you have the Zenkai Piccolos, 100% be my guest to go ahead and use those guys, right? But I personally do not have them. Like, I have the LR Piccolo right here. Or not the LR, the LF Piccolo right here, but he's only at 3 stars, so he kind of gets creamed right here. But this Demon King Piccolo, he is free to play from the USTR shop, so if you're slowly building him up, you know, it would be a really good reason to, especially for this game specifically, right? Because you're going to get those Zenkai buffs. He himself is going to have the inflated stats and stuff like that, so Regeneration, always in a really good spot. You can kind of pick and choose. Both of these Janembas right here, this red one and this purple one, are pretty damn good for this, as well as the Metal Coolers. I always praise the Metal Coolers. This one more so if he's Zenkai'd, right? This one more so if he's Zenkai'd, but if you look at tier S, this cooler right here, this green one is phenomenal. This Majin 21 is really good, and I always say that this Android 21 is also really good as well. So those are some units that you definitely can consider. This team is very versatile, in which you can have a lot of replacements. You just got to make sure, I kind of just like to make sure that you have pretty much a majority of the color wheel at the very least, right? So you definitely want someone to protect your healers, right? So for Super Baby 2, for example, you want a purple unit to back him up, right? Which I do have with the DKP. And then for Fat Boo, obviously you're going to want a yellow unit to back him up, which I have 2 of them right there, right? I have the LR Piccolo and I have the Cell, right? So a Fat Boo is pretty much good to go. But as you guys do know, Boo Tanks can be a little bit squishy and stuff like that. But Boo Tanks is really, really good at taking out a red unit right off the jump. So he pairs really, really well with your yellow units overall. Alright, so another thing that I wanted to go ahead and talk about that's brand new for this season, I think it actually like halfway through last season as well, is Friendship Rank. So Friendship Rank now plays a role in your ToP stats, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a soft cap about rank 5. So you can see right here, I have my Android team. I'm slowly building up their Friendship Rank. So you can see right here, my Super 17 at rank 6, Android 18 at 5, Android 21 at 4, the other Android 21 at 2, and stuff like that. So for whatever team is your main team, quote unquote, whatever team you're primarily using in ToP, you want to start getting their friendship ranks up as soon as you can, right? Because you're going to notice that there's going to be a difference in stats right here the higher you have your friendship level right here in the overall, right? So you definitely want to go ahead and take complete advantage of that. So whatever units you're maining, you're using, like say if you're using Saiyans and you're using the Zenkais on there, make sure you have them at a high enough friendship level, right? You want to at least have them all at 5. That's very important. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the new characters that we have. So I have them pulled up right here on DBZ Space, and we have their uniques pulled up as well because I actually do not have this Topo right here, right? And so with Topo, he kind of has like a basic kit, right? He has a basic kit with damage buffs and damage cut. His second unique, he gets his green card off basically, and it inflicts the enemy with can attack. So it's basically immobilizing them as for one turn, as well as applying debuffs. So I wouldn't say he's essential to any of his teams right now, whether it be God Key, whether it be Rival Universe, although those teams aren't really the best for ToP in the first place. Maybe if they get more buffs, then this guy would be more critical to them. But as of right now, he is not a must-have on any of his teams. He's alright, right? And so let's go ahead and move on to Kale and Caulifla with the assist Kale, right? And so their kit, honestly, I think their kit is a little bit better, right? Pretty good first unique that includes 30% charge rate to the blue card with lots of damage inflicted and a small damage cut. The second unique allows for a 5% heal once you do go get to 50% HP or below. But honestly, in my own opinion, if this didn't have this restriction on it, where it was just only at this mark and that 5% health buff was just on there just every single fight, like at least just once a fight, right? Even if it was just like every second turn, you're gonna restore health by 5%. That would absolutely be clutch, and I think these guys would be a much more valuable unit. Overall, pretty good though. I think these guys are a little bit better than Topo in terms of ToP kits. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the final point of the video, which is going to be teams to be aware of, alright? So this is where we're going to be talking about what teams to be cautious of, what teams to maybe avoid, or not teams, but more so fights on the actual board itself, right? So the first one I want to go talk about is actually the first one that you encounter right here onto the left side. Is if you go ahead and look at this one, it's this team. I've already talked about this team before, and this team is not something that you should necessarily be scared of, but just something that you should be aware of, right? So this yellow kid Gohan right here, he gets a blue every time one of his allies dies, so he could possibly be getting up to like 5 blue cards, right? That's going to be a lot of damage dealt to your team, and it's going to be a loss in points on your side, right? Because it does matter how much damage you take, how much damage you dish out. So if you're going to choose this fight, make sure you kill him first, and then the rest of the fight should be pretty much easily conquered after that, right? And so the next thing to be aware of is hybrids. So hybrids, especially with this blue movie Gohan up here, right? You can see this blue movie Gohan up into the top left. I already talked about it before, why he's actually a good unit for your own teams, but on the enemy teams, he will eat all of the attacks in turn 1. So make sure you guys are targeting him first, especially if you have a bunch of green units on there, because you want to take him out, right? Because it's going to suck if all your attacks get directed towards him, but you're targeting someone else, right? So you're going to have like a half health Gohan in the back while you're wasting all this time trying to, you don't want to spread your damage out. You want to pick off your enemies one by one so you can go ahead and dwindle them all down instead of distributing the damage off evenly, right? Because that's going to take a lot longer. And so you got to just be aware of that. And so try to use it to your advantage by having that knowledge under your belt, just targeting him first specifically because you have no choice. And then also, you got to watch out for this yellow kid Gohan right here in the top, or in the bottom right? Because he boasts a blue card on turn 2, which I've already talked about as well. And so you want to go ahead and get rid of him before he's able to get that off on you. And then honestly, going even further than that, you have to, this Android 18 is going to be healing the team. So this is something that you might want to consider targeting as well. There's one fight over here too, towards the top, like right under the boss battle, that I want you guys to go ahead and be, like, I honestly want you guys to just simply avoid this fight overall, right? Even though this is a 5th stage, whatever. This is a fight where Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku is on the field as well with the hybrids. So keep in mind with the blue Gohan right here and this Goten, which we just talked about, this Goku also gets a guaranteed blue on turn 2. So I would probably just avoid this fight altogether. If you see this combination right here, it's too much. It's too oppressive. You're going to take a lot of damage. Alright, so the last thing I want to go ahead and talk about is just be wary of regeneration, right? Just be careful for regeneration, mostly because of this LF Piccolo. Like I said, if you're going to take on regeneration, I would probably prioritize taking this guy out before turn 3, because on turn 3 he's able to go ahead and pull his blue card and he's going to deal a lot of damage. So make sure to take care of him early on. And although I didn't really see any boot tanks on here, on this field particularly, if you guys see a fight with boot tanks on there, also obviously be aware of him, because boot tanks does get his blue card on turn 1. But mostly, just if you're going against regeneration and you see teams like this that I have right here on the screen, just make sure you kill the LF Piccolo. So that's pretty much it for these guys right here. So that being said, that's pretty much all I got for you guys for this season of ToP. Let me know what teams you guys are running. Let me know whatever questions you have. And as always, make sure you guys go ahead and drop your questions in the comments down below. You guys want to come over to the Discord that I have in the description as well. You guys want to ask questions over there in our ToP channel. I'm more than happy to go ahead and help out. If you guys enjoyed the content, definitely let me know by leaving a like, a comment, or maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!